Hey guys, welcome back to Shristi Tech Academy. In today's video, let us discuss about 3 annotations of Spring Boot: at value, at configuration properties, at property source. Let us understand what is the purpose of these annotations, how to use them, where to use them and when to use them. Let us get started. First, let us understand about at value annotation. You all know whenever we are working with Spring Boot application, if we want external configuration details, we can use application.properties or application.yml file. Whenever you want to get the values from a properties file into your Spring Bean, we can use at value annotation. At value annotation is used for injecting the properties from application.properties or YAML file into your instance variables of your Spring Bean. Here is an example. In application.properties, I have added a property as employee.name and the value is Sripriya. I want this value to be injected into my name in the Spring Bean. So above the instance variable, add at value annotation. Using expression language, pass the property. The property is employee.name. Okay. Now let us see an example for this. This is my Spring Boot application. I have not added any extra dependencies. The default dependencies are only available. That is Spring Boot Starter. This is a console based application. Okay. In the service layer, I have added an interface as iNotification with one single method send notification. We need to provide the implementation. I have provided the implementation using email notification. So this is the overridden method. In this class, I have got 3 properties, that is 3 instance variables: username, to and subject. I need values for these instance variables from the properties file. For that only we are going to use at value annotation. First, let me open application.properties. Let me add name value pair. In our case, we need value for username, to and subject. So let me add it over here. Let me give it as notification dot email dot username equal to Sripriya. Okay. Similarly, we need to give it for to and subject. I'll copy paste and modify it. Notification dot email dot to whom you want to send the mail. kumaran@gmail.com. Then notification.email.subject Java full stack coaching. Okay. These are the values that has to be injected for the instance variables in email notification. To inject these values, we are using at value annotation above the instance variable. This annotation is from Spring Framework. At value, round parenthesis, within quotes, dollar curly brace. This is called as expression language, within which you need to provide the property name. So the property name here is email.username. Similarly, for to and subject, to and this is subject. Guys, if you are having your instance variable as double or int or float, the conversion will happen automatically. Whatever is coming inside from the properties file will be in the form of string. Automatically it will be converted by calling integer.parseInt or double or float.parseFloat method. Remember, you need to provide solid integer value or double value for that. You should not give HUNDRED 100. You should give proper 100. When it is coming inside, it will come as double quotes 100 and it is getting modified to 100. Okay. What next? We need to convert our application into a console based application. So let me go to the main class. Make the main class implement command line runner. Override run method. Now here we can auto wire iNotification. Private iNotification notification and add at auto wire annotation. Now directly we can call the method of notification from within run method. Notification dot send notification. So automatically it will enter into the implementation class of send notification. And the values for username, subject and to is getting injected from application.properties using @value annotation. So @value annotation is used for injecting the properties from application.properties into our instance variables. Okay, let me save it. All set now. Let us run the application. Select your main class, right click, run as Spring Boot app. Now let me pull the console up, and here we have got the output. From, to and subject. The values for these instance variables are pulled from application.properties file. So this is the use of @value annotation. Now let us understand the purpose of @configuration properties. Now let us understand about @configuration properties. Whenever you want to group related properties into a strongly typed Java object, we need to use this annotation. Let me explain this with an example. This is my application.properties, which is having few properties: employee.name, employee.city, employee.department. The name itself specifies that it belongs to a particular group, that is to employee. So in my Java class, I have created an employee class, and the properties of this employee class is matching the properties in application.properties. Guys, actually it is the reverse. Whatever Java class you are having, whatever properties you are having in your Java class should be matched in application.properties. So that's what we have done. But there it is employee.name, employee.city. So what we are doing is we are doing a slight mapping by using @configuration properties. See here, I have added @configuration properties, prefix is equal to employee. So automatically it will go to application.properties, search for the prefix that starts with employee, and it will bind these property names to the corresponding instance variables. If they don't match, the binding will not happen. I repeat, if they don't match, the binding will not happen. By this way, you don't have to add explicitly @value annotation. If the instance variable names and the property names in application.properties match, then you can use @configuration properties. By this way, I am grouping everything for employee separately, everything for notification separately, everything for database configuration separately. So we don't have to explicitly add @value annotation above each and every instance variable. Now let us see this with an example. Okay, here we have added email notification. I am not going to touch that class. Let us create one more class, let's say SMS notification, and we will add @configuration properties in SMS notification. So select your service package, right click, new class. Let me give the class name as SMS notification, and it implements iNotification. Okay, click finish. Now let us add few properties or few instance variables to this SMS notification. Private, string sender, private, long, mobile number, then private, string, message. What is the message that has to be sent? Okay. And this class should be annotated with @component. Remember, when you are working with @configuration properties, automatically it will go in search of the setter method for these instance variables. If that matches with the properties in application.properties, automatically it will map the values and inject the values. Okay. Now what I will do is, I will go to application.properties again. This time let us have it as notification.sms.sender Kumaran, notification.sms.mobile number equal to, let me add a number, then notification.sms.message Happy New Year. Okay. Now that we have added these properties, let us check whether it is matching the properties in SMS notification. Here we are having it as sender, mobile number and message, but there it is notification.sms.sender, sms.mobile number, likewise it is coming. So using configuration properties, let us map these properties of application.properties into our instance variables. So above this class, add @configuration properties. Within parenthesis, add the attribute prefix. Now Here we have got sender, mobile number and message. The prefix of these three starts with notification.sms. So let me copy it and I will add it over here. So when you are running this application, Spring Boot will go to application.properties in search of notification.sms. Together with that, it will append .sender, .mobile number, .message. So you don't have to add @value annotation explicitly for each and every instance variable. One thing you need to remember, if you are using @configuration properties, it will work either on setter based injection or constructor based injection. Because we are not using @value annotation, it will not touch the instance variables. It will always go and call the setter methods or check for constructor based dependency injection. So what we can do, let us add getter setter methods. Select all, click generate. Okay, let us add the logic also. We need to print the sender, the mobile number and the message. So I will copy it from here and we will modify. The first one is sender and the second one is mobile number and the third one is message mobile. Okay, and this class should be annotated with that component. Here if you notice, you are getting a warning. What it is saying is, it is suggesting you to add one more extra dependency, Spring Boot configuration processor dependency. But this is optional. Even without this dependency, it will work perfectly fine. Okay. So explicitly I don't have to add @value annotation. It is just going to match this prefix for all the properties that are available in application.properties. This is okay, fine. Now go to the main class. In the main class, we have auto-wired iNotification. I am not having one implementation of iNotification, but I am having two implementations. One is email notification, the other one is SMS notification. What we need now is SMS notification. If I try to run this application directly, we will get a Spring Boot exception. What is that? Expected 1, no unique bean found exception. Expected 1 but found 2. Let me run this. We will see the exception first. See, this is the exception. Field notification required a single bean but found 2. Email notification and SMS notification. So what I can do, I can pick and choose one. So we will use the annotation @qualifier. Now we are working with the SMS notification class. So let me copy paste that one. Within double quotes, SMS notification, S in lowercase. Okay. So the method is same, notification.send notification. Let me run the application. And here we have got the output. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Whenever you want to group relative properties or bind relative properties into one single POJO object, then you can use @configuration properties annotation. We will move on to the next annotation @property source. Till now, what we have seen is, we have used application.properties as our external configuration file. What if I want to have multiple configuration files based on certain criteria? Maybe for messaging service, I want to have a separate configuration file. For database specific properties, I want to have a separate configuration file. So in that case, how will you inform Spring Boot to capture the values from those properties file? By default, Spring Boot can capture the values from application.yml or application.properties file. What if my properties file name is different? To load this particular properties file, we need to use @property source annotation above the class. Let's say I have created a separate properties file as jdbc.properties and I have added two properties. How will you retrieve it in Java class? This properties file is not visible. Explicitly, to make it visible for Spring Boot, you have to add @property source annotation. It is used for reading the values from a third party configuration file. In our case, it is jdbc.properties. Okay. Here also, because it is JDBC specific properties, I can group them as data source. Prefix is data source. The username and password are matching. So automatically the values will be injected. I don't have to use @value annotation if I am using @configuration properties. Now let us see an example for this also. Okay. First let me create a class. Let me give the class name as dbconfig. Let me add three properties: private string URL, private string username, and password. And again, as usual, add getter setter methods. Select all, click generate. And now let us add one more method just to print the details, URL, username and password. So the method is public void connect db. And let us just print the values, nothing else than that. I need to print the URL, username and password. Let me copy it from other classes. Just the 3 println statements. Okay. So here it has to be URL, username and password. Instead of password, you can also have database name. Okay. Now our DB configuration class is ready. What next? I need to create a separate properties file. So select src main resources, right click, new file. Let me give the file name as jdbc.properties. Okay. Here let us add the values for data source dot URL. So it is jdbc colon mysql colon, I am just talking about the real database, localhost colon 3306. This is the URL that we will be giving when we are connecting to MySQL database / the database name mydb. Then data source dot username. Usually when you are connecting with the database, you give all these properties in Spring Boot so that in the backend the data source can capture all these values. You cannot give your own name. It should be proper spring.datasource.url, spring.datasource.username and so on. In our case, let me give it a Sripriya and the password to be root, equal to root. Okay. Now let me go to dbconfig class. Here the first thing is annotate the class with add component. Now together with that add property source. The purpose of this is to retrieve the value from app.properties file, which is having a key value pair. Now same thing we are going to do. Let me add property source within double quotes, give it as class path colon jdbc.properties. What next? We need to add value annotation above URL, username and password and pass data source.url, data source.username, data source.password. Instead of value annotation, what we can use? We can go in for configuration properties. All these properties are relevant to data source. So that is why in properties file also we have given it as data source.url, data source.username, data source.password. So we are binding relative properties into one single POJO, Java POJO. Okay, POJO means plain old Java object. It is equivalent to that, right? So in my case it is dbconfig. I have got URL, username and password. I can have the properties even as URL, dbconfig.url, dbconfig.username and dbconfig.password. I am just converting it into one POJO object. Okay. So let us add configuration properties. Add configuration properties. See, it is the annotation that is used for externalized configuration. Within parenthesis add prefix equal to. We are having URL, username and password. In jdbc.properties, we have it as data source.url, data source.username and data source.password. So the prefix has to be data source. Data source. Okay. Now all set. This class is also ready. Let me go to the main class. In the main class, AutoWire dbconfig. At AutoWired private dbconfig dbconfig. Okay. Now let us call the method dbconfig.connectdb. Let us run this application. Okay. I am getting an exception. Let me maximize the console. Factory bean definition. What is the error? Class path resource JDBC cannot be opened because it does not exist. Okay, here I have made a typo. A is missing. I'll go here and change it. Open dbconfig. Class path. Okay, I have changed it. Let me rerun the application. Okay, still I am getting file not found exception. JDBC properties cannot be opened because it does not exist. Okay, so what I will do is, I'll just copy these 3 lines, Control X, save, delete jdbc.properties and let us create it again. Select your package, right click, new file. It should be created inside src main resources and give the file name as jdbc.properties. Click finish. Okay. Let me copy paste it. Okay, go to the main class, right click, run a Spring Boot app. Now here we have got the output. There was some problem with my jdbc.properties. I really don't know what is the problem. Maybe while creating it or what. So now we have got the output. Okay, I hope it is clear. Whenever we want to inject values from an external third-party file, we will be using these annotations. Use at property source if you are working with customized property file, just like jdbc.properties, jms.properties. So if you are having individual properties file, if you want to map them to your particular Pojo class, then use at property source. Whenever you want to bind relative properties into one single Pojo object, use at configuration properties. This makes your code look clean and neater. Why? Because you are not adding multiple at value annotation for each and every instance variable. Let's say my Java class is having some 20 instance variables. Rather than me writing 20 times at value annotation, I can group them into one single Pojo object. Whenever the number of instance variables are more in your Java class and if they are related to each other, try to group them and give a name. Just like how we have given the prefix employee, notification.sms, notification.email. Likewise, you group them and give a name. So, you are going in for a neat code and avoiding the unnecessary usage of at value annotation. Okay. When will I use at value annotation? If I am having one single property in controller class or 2 to 3 properties in service class. In those scenarios, you can use at value annotation. If the number of instance variables are more, it is better to group them using at configuration properties. Here I have used application.properties. Similarly, I can also use application.yml. In both the cases, it will work perfectly fine. When you are using application.yml, the code will look still more cleaner and better. Let me just show it to you. I'll copy this inside the resources folder and give a different name. Let it be application.yml. Okay. Remember, when you are having properties file and YML, always properties file will have the highest priority. So we need to comment it if you want to work with YML. Now I can have it as notification : email : username : Sripriya. Give a space. Indentation matters here, and here you cannot give tab. You have to give space and then add the values. Okay. What about email.to? I don't have to add all this, it is enough, just give 2. 2 : space. Okay. And the third one is subject. Subject : space. What about the next one? That is whatever we have given for SMS. Here also we can use the same notification. Under the same hierarchy SMS is coming. So I can add SMS : sender. The other properties are also coming under SMS. We don't have to specify SMS again and again. Directly I can give it like this. Mobile number : space. Message : space. Okay, this is my YML file. First let us see which is having the highest priority. Go to the main class and run it. So you can see that the data is coming from application.properties. So what I will do is I will go and comment application.properties. Okay, and run the application again. This time the value for SMS notification will come from YML file, application.yml file. So it is your choice. You can use either properties or YAML file, but YAML file provides you with a clean and neater code structure. Okay, you don't have to repeat the properties again and again. And whenever you want to work with that property source, remember you cannot work with YML file, you have to use properties file. That's why I have created it as jdbc.properties, not jdbc.yml. Okay. Guys, I hope it is clear. This is all about at value, at configuration properties and at property source. Whenever you are working with custom properties, remember to use at property source annotation. Guys, I am also having an announcement to make. I am starting with a new batch for Spring and Microservices which will run for 11 weeks. If you guys are interested to learn together with me, please check out the description. I have given all the details. Click on the link, book a call with me and get the details too. That's it. See you in another video. Thank you.